Tishmeru, Va'asitem Otam.
Very
So
nice.
if you follow my laws, and you go,
What?
Good.
Follow and go, or two different
go.
words, or one word?
No, right, if you follow my laws, that's one thing. And, let's go time, my commandments, and you guide them, and you do them.
Good. So there's three things mentioned. Going,
You go
and guarding.
Going, guarding, and doing.
And doing.
Guarding.
Yeah.
Each one more.
The hook tie.
Maybe. Very good.
Well, you
But it turns out, according to the Meforshim, that because there are three things, Rashi makes a diuk that the first one is not what we would conventionally call, as we called it, following the Torah. Because what is following the Torah? It's either guarding, not to do negative, or positively doing the positive, right? So they say that's already Tishmeru, guarding, not to do negative, and Vasisem, doing the positive. So what's left, right? That's the whole Torah. That's what, right? So what's the first thing? What's going to do what? There's only, right, keeping the mitzvahs, everything. So there's only one thing left. What's left in addition to making sure you don't do a negative prohibition and making sure you do a positive commandment? What's left in the Torah? What do we do the whole day long? What do we do here the whole day long? Learning. It's another thing, right? It's not.
Oh, so he says that it's learning.
That's right. That's how Rashi's going to get to the point where he says the third thing mentioned here is learning. I don't know. Was it on a Hebrew or something?
Yeah.
That white one? The white one? I don't know. My white one I usually plug here. Do you remember seeing one over there? The white one over there the other day?
No.
Maybe you took it by mistake?
Yeah.
He has a very similar one. He might have taken it by mistake.
So I'll bring it tomorrow.
Okay, I'm glad we cleared that up. Because we have to either guard the mitzvahs or do the mitzvahs, and that's... But, okay, so now, you see where Rashi's going to come from, because Rashi's going to come out of left field here with the first drasha, and if you don't understand these other parts, it won't 100% make sense. But then now that we know this, we will see the Rashi, it'll all fit in, hopefully. Okay, try the Rashi then. No, read the actual quote, please, first. Okay, no, that's one thought. Yachol, Zekiyom mitzvah. Okay, now what's Yachol in a Rashi?
You might think
That's
that
right.
this is the summit, or the fulfillment of the mitzvah.
Yes. Fulfilling mitzvahs is what we call doing a positive mitzvah, right? So maybe when it says you're going, like you said, following the Torah, maybe that's talking about just fulfilling the mitzvahs.
Right.
You might have thought that, right? That would have been a logical thing to think.
Okay.
But
Keshahu, that when it says, Viet mitzvotai, and I commanded, Tishmeru,
no. My commandments,
the guard my commandments.
right? And now the Vagomer. What's Vagomer?
The guard.
Which Mordechai should be very excited. It says Vagomer here, not just Vachula. It also means etc.
Doing.
So now this etc. is very important because it's not only quoting the part where it says guard, he's also trying to include the second part about doing. So now that it says in the second part of the pasuk, guard and do.
Hooray, to behold, they fulfill,
The fulfillment of
fulfillment of the commandments. I would say
was said. Amur. It's passive.
was
already said. Like if you look at the pasuk as all happening at one time, so the first one that you wanted to say is talking about doing the mitzvahs can't be, because that is already said in the second part of the pasuk, right? Where it says do the mitzvahs. It already says in the second part do the mitzvahs. So it's already saying do the mitzvahs in the second part. What does it mean in the first part? Now we're going to have to come to a conclusion.
Right.
Who's reading?
I would.
Okay, continue please.
got them up to the punchline.
Yes.
These
Thank you.
readers, he's doing a great job.
Okay, let me see. What's the first? Okay.
מה אני מקיים?
קיבום, הרי קיבום המצוות אמור, מה אני מקיים אם בחוקותיי תלכו, שתהיו עמלים בתורה ויתלה.
שתהיו עמלים בתורה. Right? What does it mean? Toiling Torah. Okay?
Behold, so it's a fulfillment. Behold the fulfillment of the
How do I fulfill the meaning of the words in B'chukosei Teilechu? Right? If it doesn't, it can't mean, as ordinarily, if it just been by itself, I would have said it means referring to the actual fulfillment of the mitzvahs.
Right.
But it can't be because it says, "Yes, mitzvah say tishmu." That's referring to the fulfillment of the mitzvahs. What is in B'chukosei Teilechu? It means shetuyu amelim b'Torah. That you should be toiling
in the Torah.
No. Okay. Now tell me. Let's start off the first question over here. Because this is a Rashi which had bothered me for many years, till I had a beautiful explanation from Rabbi Aryeh Finkel, Zechon Livracha, who was the Rosh Yeshiva of the Mir Yeshiva not in Yerushalyim, the Mir Yeshiva in Brachfeld, in Modi'in Illit. There's a big yeshiva. Okay. It's a branch of the one here in Yerushalayim. HaKodesh, he said a fantastic pshat here, and I'll explain to you in a minute. But,
what's HaKodesh?
Nevertheless,
HaKodesh, yeah. Anybody who's been in my shir for some time knows what HaKodesh is one of my...
Literally means on the face? Or
Yeah. In any case.
All in all.
Oh?
HaKodesh, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it again. In any case, yes, what does it mean? Where do we see, it was like saying, it can't mean this, it can't mean fulfilling the mitzvahs, so you know what it must mean, that you have to toil in Torah. Where does it say in the words, in B'chukosei Teilechu, that means to toil in Torah?
Yeah,
Where do you read it in those words?
Chok is a specific kind of a commandment.
Right.
Seems funny.
Right? Where do we read it?
So you've got to work it out. It's not straightforward explanation. Not straight.
To go, meaning to study.
No.
To learn.
So that's your unexplained, it means to study, to learn. Okay? You need a little bit of a thing. Where do you find the term, you find sitting and learning, and you find,
Yaakov?
finally going, following, walking, or going, you do find the expression in Parshas Yisrael. You pass me pass me Shmos.
Shema, I think right here.
Was it with the...
Nat? I think that's a Shemosh right there.
Yeah, Shemot,
Yes. In fact, there's a passage that Chazal Darshan from here, Maran Baba Kama, which says, this is the words which Yisro told Moshe Rabbeinu when he gave him advice to appoint other judges. It says,
You've got all the judges at 10s and 50s.
yeah. Pasuk says, here it says, Ato Shema B'Kuli Yatzcha. This is what Yisro said to his son-in-law Moshe. Listen to my words, I'm going to advise you. V'yeh Elokim L'mach, and Hashem should be with you, meaning if you should agree to this. Hey Ato L'amul Elokim, you should be representing the people again, facing Hashem, meaning in vis-a-vis Hashem. And you should bring the words, means all the questions that arise from the people, the questions of halacha which the people bring to you, then you should address them to Hashem. Then it says, you shall warn them esachukim vesatoros, the law, the statutes and the teachings. Okay? So that's the chukim and Torahs. We'll see that. V'hidat you should make known to them, inform them of esaderech yelchu bo, the way they shall follow. Yes. Now Rashi says, does Rashi mention over here? No. So the Gemara says, this is a Gemara in Baba Kama.
Which the last book, 3 or 4, we're doing that now. Is it the early part of the book or the last part?
There's mentioned it here.
I beg your pardon, Steve.
Yeah, well, finish the third book.
So Derech Yelchu Ba,
Third book.
yeah. The Gemara says, Zu Gemilas Chasodim.
The type of
Derech Yelchu Ba, because that refers to doing acts of kindness.
Not mitzvahs at all.
Not, well, mitzvahs, it's mitzvahs as well, but not studying Torah. It's not referring to studying Torah. Derech Yelchu Ba, why? Because what generally is,
Do the
a
practical
person
ones.
studying, he's sitting at home, or he's sitting,
Do the practical things.
right. Derech Yelchu Ba means he's got to get up from where he is,
And carry
go,
these things out, yeah.
right, and carry things out.
Yeah.
Right, he's going to going to help somebody or whatever. So Derech Yelchu Ba Zu Gemilas Chasod. So Yechora, if we're talking about here, if you walk, if you go, it's referring to going somewhere, right? So therefore, it sounds more like an application of doing something practically, rather than referring to an aspect of how we're learning Torah. I'm just strengthening the question over here.
Absolutely.
Okay? So, this pshat I heard from Rabbi Ari Finkel explains as follows. Generally, and this is what Rashi suggests at the beginning, chukos refer to mitzvahs, those mitzvahs which we consider like statutes, which we don't understand.
You can't fathom out, really. It's just,
Right. That's what ostensibly chukos are.
Yeah.
But Rashi says that can't be its meaning over here, because it says, you shall guard my mitzvahs, which is an all-encompassing
So
term for all the mitzvahs.
that explains that mitzvahs also are not necessarily of things we understand. It's just like things we don't understand, but Hashem tells us to do them.
Right.
Is that right as well? That's another.
That's also true.
See,
But
good,
the
good.
point is, what is the term? You know, the term is
Yeah.
okay. So he explains as follows: there is something else termed chukos, which is not referring to the mitzvahs. What else is referred to as chukos? There's a pasuk, I believe it's in Sefer Yeshaya. It says, "Im lo brisi yomam v'layla chukos shamayim va'aretz lo samti." What not for my Torah, lo brisi, what for my covenant, which Chazal says referring to the covenant of HaKodesh Baruch Hu gave the Torah to the Jewish people. Yomam v'layla, day and night, chukos shamayim va'aretz, the statutes of heaven and earth, which means, pretty simply put, the laws of nature, lo samti, I would not have implemented. HaKodesh Baruch Hu is saying, had there not been an acceptance of the Torah by the Jewish people, then the implementation of the laws of nature, HaKodesh Baruch Hu says, I would have not implemented the laws of nature, which means basically, and this is what Rashi says in Sefer Bereshis, Parshas Bereshis. It says, pasuk which we say every Friday night. Vayi'erev vayivoka yom hashishi, vayichul hashemayim v'aretz v'chol tzva. Right? We say that pasuk, Vayi'erev vayivoka yom hashishi. By the way, the reason why we say it Friday night, the main thing we want to say vayichulu. Why do we say the words Vayi'erev vayivoka yom hashishi? Because yom hashishi vayichulu hashemayim, those 4 words spell, the first letter of the word is yom, is yud, hashishi is hey, vayichulu is vav, hashemayim is hey again. It's neg yud, k, vav, k. Those are the letters of the tetragrammaton, 4-letter name of HaKodesh Baruch Hu. That's why we say that yom hashishi vayichulu hashemayim. Say that a lot. But the Kopan in Rashi says, well, it says, Vayer Vayivoka Yom HaShishi. Rashi asked the question, why did it say Yom HaShishi? It says, Vayer Vayivoka Yom Shishi, a 6th day. Because when it says the first one, Vayer Vayivoka Yom Echad. It was evening, it was the morning of one day. Vayer Vayivoka Yom Sheni, the 2nd day. Vayer Vayivoka Yom Shlishi, the 3rd day. eighth. It doesn't say Yom HaSheni, Yom HaShlishi. Right? Why does it say Yom HaShishi? He says because the creation of the world, according to HaKodesh Baruch Hu created the world way back, that its creation was in abeyance till the sixth day. Which sixth day we're talking about?
Right.
Not the sixth day of creation. Shavuos. Vav Sivan, the sixth day of Sivan, when the Jewish people were going to accept the Torah. The world was held in abeyance. Means if the Jewish people were going to accept the Torah, then the world has a raison d'etre for existence. If not, Chas v'shalom, right? Then HaKodesh Baruch Hu says, if the Jewish people are not going to accept the Torah on the 6th of Sivan, I'm going to turn the whole world back into Tohu Vavohu.
Confusion.
Right? Everything would be total, not just chaos, but it was kitzur,
Will be flooding in the world?
or whatever. There would be a massive implosion. And everything would just,
B.
right?
If it were even B.
Whatever.
I don't know.
Whatever. It's not imagined. Okay? Akoponim, so what it means that so that's chat in the pasuk. If the Jewish people, if the fact that the Jewish people have accepted the Torah, they accepted my covenant of the Torah, right? So he said, the pasuk is telling, Imloi brisi, if it were not for my covenant, yom v'layla, day and night, chukos shamayim v'aretz le'samti. Right? The statutes of day and night, I would, of heaven and earth, I would not have implemented. I would not enacted. So the pasuk is telling us that the laws of nature are only surviving, existing by virtue of the fact that the Jewish people are keeping the Torah. That is also termed chukas. So Seder of Arya Finkel, that's the meaning of the pasuk over here, according to this sense. In b'chukosai teilechu, if you follow the idea that the Torah is keeping the world going, chukos shemayim v'aretz, that keeping the Torah, right, learning Torah is keeping the world going. In b'chukosai teilechu, if you follow that path, that line of thinking, that chukosai, my laws of nature, are only in existence by virtue of learning Torah. So he gave a beautiful example. Just imagine the guy sitting in the control tower in JFK. I don't know how many flights are landing every minute, okay? It requires tremendous concentration, right? Non-stop, continuous concentration. I don't know how long the shifts are going there, but anyway, the guys can't be there too long a shift. But let's say a guy says, wow, I'm concentrating now for half an hour, 3/4 of an hour stop. Take a 5-minute break. Give me a break. Okay, listen. Yeah, tough, right? Be okay, right? What's going to happen? That's for sure. He needs constant concentration, right? That's the idea of what it means to be about Torah. If a person realizes that his learning Torah is what's keeping the world going, keeping the existence of the world going, not just, okay, it's a nice added thing to have. Without each person's individual learning, person realizes he's got a responsibility. He's got a responsibility to be learning, because without his learning, the world would cease to exist. If a person approaches his learning in such a sense, in such a way, how is he going to approach it? He's going to lackadaisical. I can take a break here, take a break here. No. I've got to be learning every single moment I can. Doesn't mean obviously a person has to be an angel, right? Because whatever, a person has to take care of his own personal needs or whatever to a certain extent. But barring that, a person has to be absorbed in learning Torah to his maximum, that at every possible moment he's absorbed in learning Torah. Now, by the way, according to this sense, what does it mean, Amelim Torah? It doesn't mean necessarily sweating Torah. It can also mean that as well. But it means your mind is totally absorbed in it. That's what's on my mind.
Not
right? I'll give an example. you use that term. There's a different term. What to do for a living.
A surgeon, for example.
No. There's another term used for a person's job.
Totally involved, totally...
Yeah, no. Besides, what's he do for a living? That's one thing, but there's another
Profession
term.
is...
No, I can't think of the term anymore.
His commitment is...
Whatever. Anyway, that's the idea over here.
Raising that.
Yeah, whatever. The idea over here is, if you follow the idea, the sense that your Torah learning is what's keeping the world going. If you are understanding that what's keeping my statutes, i.e. heaven and earth, the laws of nature going, if you follow that path, what does that mean? The person has to realize, if he follows that path, it means he realizes he's got a responsibility. What's his responsibility? Not just to learn Torah, but to learn Torah in a way that he's aware of this responsibility upon his shoulders, that he's an important keg in the works.
His important mission, his mission.
And therefore, that's what it means. Now, the result will be that he won't just learn Torah. Okay, learn Torah 5 minutes, and okay, let's take a tea break, coffee break now. Okay,
Totally committed.
I've got a responsibility. I've got to be committed to it. It's not just a commitment; it's a commitment and an absorption in learning Torah. That's what it means. Amelim Torah. Amelim Torah means to be totally immersed in Torah, not necessarily physically sweating in it, but it means absorbed. Your mind is absorbed with it, with a responsibility that your Torah, each person's learning Torah, is an important, an essential part of the
essence
of the world,
yes,
of holding the world together.
Yes.
Okay, that's what it means. Amelim Batorah. By the way, Derech Agav, it's this similar idea of amelim. Amelim is not so much physical sweating, but it means absorption. He says, I explained a similar thing. We say in the Haggadah, right? One of the things is, one of the psukim we quote there is taken from Parshas Kisoved, where the person who brought Bikurim, he made a declaration, and one of the psukim he declares there, he says, Hashem saw when we were in Egypt, es onyenu v'slachatzeinu. Okay? So it has the Haggadah, we explain it. What does onyenu means? Physical labor. What's amolenu mean? So it means Eilu Habonim. Right? That means the children. What does that mean? Right? How does amolenu, right? How does amolenu mean referring to the children? What's the connection to the children? So I explained this first, it's a similar idea. When a person brings up children, right? He's got to educate them, right? Now, he's not going with them to school, right? He's not, should we say, physically sweating, right, at educating them. But what he is constantly on his mind, right? Your children, I mean, even necessarily, not consciously, but subconsciously, right? Constantly, children are constantly on your mind. Right? That horaya, that if something, I'll give an example, maybe simple things here. You see one of your children call, right? My first reaction of the children, oh, what's up? Right? Well, what's up? Why should that be? Right? My children call me, Why should I say, what's up? Because I know that I'm worried about my kids the whole time, right? It's a natural thing, the father is. He's worried. So if I see one of my children call, so that's something unusual, why are they calling me, right? That means naturally is what's up. Because basically, even subconsciously, the person's children are constantly on his mind. That's the idea. Omel is something which is constantly on your mind. Oh yeah, I know what that's why I remember the phrase now what you said. What's your walk in life? Walk in life.
Walk.
Yeah, what's your walk in life? That's what people ask, what profession do you have? What's your walk in life? What does that mean? What do you mean what your walk in life? It means, why are you walking? That's basically what they're asking you,
Yeah.
Right? Why are you walking? I'm walking because I want to be a lawyer. I'm walking because I want to be a thing. So our walk in life is, what purpose are we walking is to learn Torah.
No.
Is it sometimes, like you said, what do you do? What's your profession?
Right, so...
You say, my profession, no, your profession is to be, like you just said.
Right. Okay, let's go on. Yisrael Meir.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we missed the Rashi. Shlomo hasn't finished. Let's mitzvah say tishmoru.
Okay. Are you?
Havu amelim. Menos al menos.
Oh, menos al menos.
Ein mem is al menos with the intention in order lishma
to guard and rule the Chaim to fulfill, as it said, that they will learn it, and they will guard it.
You shall teach them, ushmartem lasoisam, and you shall guard, which means be careful, lasoisam, to carry them out. Okay? So therefore, that's what he's saying. Purpose of learning merely as a mental exercise, Torah says no, you can't do that. You should learn them, all the laws of the Torah. Learn Torah, what's the purpose? Ushmartem lasoisam. So be careful, guard, to do them. And Chazal learn out from that, Derech Hagav, in this passage. There's always two aspects of keeping the mitzvahs. There's the negative commandments and the positive commandments. Negative commandments, what's our job? To guard ourselves that we shouldn't transgress any negative commandments. That's ushmartem, right? You've got to guard yourself. Shmartem, not to do negative commandments. La'asoisam, to actually do them, that's referring to the positive commandments. So that's the thing. You've got to learn. V'limadtem oisam, you've got to learn and teach them. Purpose, double purpose. Ushmartem, to guard, to make sure you don't transgress any negative commandments. La'asoisam, to do the positive commandments. Okay.
Why is there a lamed there? Shmartem sosam. It's like it says, and guard them to do them.
Yeah. Okay. So the Chazal explain it over there because there's. I don't want to go into too much over there. Where's Hashem when we get there to the pasuk? Where's the pasuk? Where's he quote the pasuk in?
Deuteronomy 5:1.
Well, 5 in beginning of verse Chana. Mad to Moses, it's in verse Chana. You see, sometimes there's an union of. Okay, I'll have to.
Is it to do with the Shema? Is that where the Shema is? Well, I think it says, just before we say the Shema, something very similar. You've got to learn, teach, and...
Right, there it says, in the second paragraph of Shema, it says, no, it doesn't use that. This notion of Shmira and Asiyah, I'll look it up over there in this one and I'll explain it to you further. Okay? Fine. Let's go on. Pasuk Dalet. Shromer. Nasati.
Give your rain with time. Last night, your bullock are placed in the land produce.
The land will give. Will yield its. Will give its yield. Its Yivul is its crop.
The
tree of the field will give its fruit. Yeah. Rashi says an interesting point of it. Okay, Be'itom.
Be'itom. This time, B'shash ein derech b'nei adam etzos.
The time when people not normally go out. And when is that?
Then b'nei revius.
It's in parentheses here. Rashi Lashon. B'leilei Shabbosos. and on Leil Shabbos. Now, Leil Shabbos is understandable because people don't travel. So therefore, when Shabbos, people don't travel. So Leil Shabbos, also people are in their homes, they're not going to shul, or not going out, they're at home. People are at home anyway. So that's the most convenient time for it to rain. Rain's not going to disturb them. What's the idea of Leili Revis? It's very interesting. There's a Gemara in Sochem which says that when our demons, right? Something a little bit of something which is a little bit alien to us because we think, well, that was demons are something real.
The Shadim come out at night.
Right. So the Gemara says over there that the Shadim were, should we say, getting very harmful and damaging. So one of the Amoraim got up and said, he decreed upon them that they're not allowed to do any damage, they've got to keep themselves to themselves, with the exceptions of when Leile Revis, means Tuesday nights, and Leile Shabbos, and Friday nights, with Leil Shabbos. Okay, so these are the 2 nights of the week which were given to demons that they can have a harmful effect.
Oh, yeah.
They're given allowed to have a certain power. So therefore, for that reason, people stay at home.
Tuesday.
Tuesday nights, and why
Why demons can't come into people's houses?
No, they're generally only allowed there's only given a certain realm of power. It's only dark places and people go by themselves and the 2 people together, they don't have power. So there's
So what can they do to us?
whatever. Chazal say
Defile.
they don't defile.
Contaminate.
No, they can actually be harmful, whatever.
Physically.
Physically,
everywhere.
yeah. The Gemara says in Brachas, which you say this, say the parak actually when you go to bed before you go to Krishma Mitzvah. Psalm 91, I think it is. Yoshev b'seisa elyo. Right, Psalm 91. So it says, "Yipol mitzitcha elef u'rvova miminecha." They're going to fall 1,000 from your, mitzitcha, from the 1,000 from your side, which is the left side, u'rvova, and 10,000 from your right side. So the Gemara says from there that every person, right, has walking with him 1,000 demons on the left side and 10,000 on the right. And if he would see them, he would go crazy. Therefore, HaKodesh Baruch Hu would draw a person the power of being able to see them.
King Solomon's involved in this, isn't he?
Whatever, there was a whole Maisa that he was the head of the demons, king of the demons, deposed Shlomo Melech. What that means, I do not know. It's all esoteric Gemara, so whatever. But that's what the Gemara says, that Shlomo Melech was deposed from his kingship by the head of the demons. Okay? But anyway, Akopanim, these things, we don't see them because it's only in fact, the Gemara says it's a chesed. HaKodesh Baruch Hu did not give a human being perception to be able to see them, otherwise he'd go crazy. But they are existent. Okay, anyway, Akopanim, so that's why I'm explaining this Rashi over here. They explain over here the why Dafka on Tuesday nights, the night of the 4th day, and the night of Shabbos, people stay at home because that's the time when it's given for demons to have an effect, and therefore people stay at home. So therefore, okay, HaKodesh Baruch Hu now uses for bracha. People staying at home anyway, so therefore HaKodesh Baruch Hu sends rain at that time, because that's when people are at home anyway. So that's a bracha. Each time, that's the time for rain. When Tuesday nights and Friday nights, people are at home. Okay, this thinking of Tuesday night nowadays, first of all, people travel in cars.
Tuesday, I thought that's a good day. Is that when people
Yeah.
So can
Tuesday itself. No, Wednesday.
Tuesday evening.
So Tuesday night, I mean, is the night between Tuesday and Wednesday. It's really what they call Leil Revi, the night of Wednesday. Right? That's in eve of Wednesday. On the contrary, Wednesday is considered the day when one should be careful.
Is that judgment?
It says that Rashi brings in Bereshis, it says that HaKodesh Baruch Hu created on the fourth day the celestial bodies, the sun, the moon, the stars, all those things were created. Okay? Now the term Ma'oros, the light-giving celestial bodies, Ma'oros, that's what they call it. And the word Ma'oros is written without a vav. And Rashi brings there that Chazal say that Wednesday is a day which is likely, Chas v'shalom, to bring about bad things. Bad things can come about. Klola, certain klola comes about on Wednesday. So Wednesday, obviously, also the night of Wednesday is not necessarily such a good day.
Is that a judgment day?
Yeah, no, Mondays and Thursdays are.
When you do the Psalm of the Day on Wednesday, what does that talk about?
Well, kill the Komis Hashem.
With you.
Yeah, HaKodesh Baruch Hu is going to take punishment for the wicked.
Oh.
Okay, these are all things. Okay, let's do the next Rashi. The Eitz HaSodeh.
Eitz HaSodeh, the tree.
Yeah, Misomeh, I'm finished. Eitz HaSodeh, the
Eitz
tree of the
HaSodeh,
field.
Tree of the field. Hein Ilone
Srak. Those are, what do you call it, non-fruit-bearing trees. Asidim le'asos peros. In the future, they're going to produce fruit. Now this goes back to what Rashi says in the time of creation, that the vegetation was created on the third day. Okay? Now, very interesting chazal, which is, look, it's a very deep philosophic discussion on this chazal. It says that HaKodesh Baruch Hu originally told the trees that the bark of the tree, the wood of the tree itself, would have the flavor of the fruit itself.
Like Etron, apparently.
Right. And the only one tree which has that now is the esrog tree. Eitz upiriyei shavim. So the taste of the wood and the taste of the fruit itself are the same. Originally, all fruits were going to be like that.
So what's the benefit?
So now the Chazal say a very interesting thing, that this is what the trees were told when they sprouted or whatever. HaKodesh Baruch Hu told them they're supposed to have the
Flavor.
the taste of the tree, of the wood of the tree, and the fruit was supposed to be, both of them were supposed to have flavor. Right? And it says the tree didn't listen to Hashem, and what did they do? Just the fruit had the good taste, but the tree remained without taste.
So what's the advantage of that?
Now,
So what's the big deal?
this is an amazing chazal, because we know that men, right, human beings, have free choice. But anything else, no other being in creation has a free choice.
Well, except angels.
Do angels have free choice?
No.
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 Well,
Commanded
ostensibly,
to.
okay.
You guys
So how is it
Angels
possible?
did the wrong thing?
Oh, see, that's also part of this discussion. So it's part of it. We didn't find that sometimes the angels didn't. There's various chazals which say that angels didn't listen to what the HaKodesh Baruch Hu told them to do their mission, and the angels didn't listen. So it also has to be understood. How is it possible? The whole raison d'etre, the whole being of a angel is the fact that it's carrying out a mission. If it's not carrying out a mission, it has no reason to exist.
Right.
Okay? Anyway, this is a major philosophical discussion, which I'm not going to go into
You've
now.
got to explain what the big deal is about why the Etron has it. So what? I mean, we don't. Do we appreciate in ourselves?
If you want to say,
I know it's a punishment for the tree, but do we appreciate that we've got an apple tree, that the bark? We're not going to eat the bark of the tree.
yeah. So
what's the big deal?
that's one point. One point is, what would have happened if all the trees had listened to Hashem, and so what would be? People wouldn't just be eating the fruit, they'd be eating the tree as well. So how long the tree would last?
Not long.
What was the, should we say, the logic behind the original command that the fruit, the wood of the tree should have the same taste as the fruit? It means that that encourage people to eat the fruit, to eat the wood of the tree, and the trees wouldn't last that way. Another question. But these are very, what I'm pointing out over here is that in the future, so now, what do we have? We have trees, some producing fruit, some not producing fruit. But the wood of the trees does not have a flavor, doesn't have the taste of the fruit. In the future, when the world will come to its completion, right? Then nature will change and go back to its original state, what it should have been when HaKodesh Baruch Hu wanted to create it, and that the bark of the fruit, the wood of the tree, will have the same taste as the fruit. And that's what it says. The eitzas are there. He's saying that he's actually saying a little thing, is that even non-fruit bearing trees, they will produce fruit. That means the actual fruit, the wood itself will be fruit. And the trees will go back to their original, the way they should have been producing. Okay, we'll stop here.